Now here is the risk that Browns had to take with
I love you, Cleveland, and I love you, Ohio. And a very big welcome to this week's version of Bonus Time with Drennan here on the Big Play Sports Network. Hi, I'm Bruce Drennan along with Ryan Smith. We've got a lot going on today. Gene Winters is going to join us, talk about the Cavaliers and the upcoming NBA playoffs. Jimmy Hanlon will talk about the Masters and McIlroy, of course, accomplishing the Grand Slam, and a little bit more as well on baseball. Ryan, how you doing, partner?
I'm doing really good, Bruce. I can't believe Rory got it done. I couldn't be more excited for him, and I can't wait to hear what Jimmy has to say about it.
Yeah, we'll have a good segment with him. I want to do a short segment in the first segment here because next week we're going to devote a lot of time, obviously, to the NFL draft. But as you know, a few weeks ago, I delivered this bombshell about the Dak Prescott rumor. I came across this. I want you to be aware of it. A writer by the name of Matthew Schmidt, who is a freelance writer for the Sporting News. He's written for Sports Illustrated, Bleacher Report, FanRag Sports, Clutch Points, NFL Analysts Network, and NBA Analysts Network. He covers the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball. Matthew Schmidt, last January 15th, this past January 15th, wrote a story, and here's the heading: Browns, Cowboys connected to wild Dak Prescott trade scenario. Could the Cleveland Browns somehow manage to trade for Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott? That was back on January 15th. This Schmidt character wrote this. Says the Cleveland Browns need a quarterback, and the Dallas Cowboys are obviously in need of some type of roster overhaul after a very disappointing season. Could the Cowboys trade Dak Prescott? And could the Browns be the team that gets the quarterback? Jack Duffin of 247 Sports, Duffin, by the way, is a salary cap expert, data and analytics expert. Duffin explored the possibility and said while it would take a whole lot of financial gymnastics, it actually could be feasible. Financially, the Cleveland Browns can make this work because they will turn each contract year into an option bonus and push the salary cap hits far out into the future, according to Duffin. Dak will likely need to agree to this change because it is unlikely the Cowboys have the contract language that is standard in the Browns contracts. Duffin added that trading for Prescott would require some cap magic and would probably necessitate the Cowboys having to manipulate some numbers. They will likely need to get the Cowboys to change Dak's contract so it has a roster bonus on the third day of the league year, taking the base salary to the minimum. I wasn't even aware of this when I got my tip and laid this on you a few weeks ago. Now, I'll leave you with this. And next week we'll dive in. And if this is going to happen, it's going to happen, at the draft. Why would Garrett so quickly change his mind about staying with Cleveland and signing that extension to the contract? He could have gotten big money from Philadelphia or Washington, who were very interested in him. The answer is that he was told by the Browns that they were working on a trade to get Prescott. That's the information that came to me. Now that Dallas has acquired Milton from New England, why keep Prescott? The Cowboys are going nowhere with him in that division with Philadelphia and Washington. Why would you Cowboy fans be excited about another year of a long shot chance of winning the NFC Championship? I'm not even talking about the division. It's time to start anew, and that's Milton. If you're a Dallas fan, money and the no trade clause could nix this deal. But as I've said before, Haslam and Jones are friends. And to me, I think they can find a way to make the money work. And of course, drafting Hunter at 2 could be all that Prescott needs to persuade him to waive his no trade. We'll see next week. Up next, Gene Winters. We're going to analyze the NBA chances for our Cavaliers as the playoffs begin. Great to have you with us. Bonus time with Drennan. Big play. I love you, Menor Nissan. Hi, Bruce Drennan here from my good friends at Menor Nissan. Ray Sminchak, the whole staff. As you know, I've been doing a lot of our shows down in Florida, just returned. Great to be back on the home confines of our beautiful studios here at Burke Lakefront Airport for Big Play. But I got to tell you, I drove my Nissan Rogue from Menor Nissan down to Florida, had the rack up on top with extra luggage. It was absolutely the most splendid, beautiful ride. Just as smooth as could be. My wife also drives a Rogue. We rotated driving down there and back, but I just can't recommend it any more so to you. Get on out there, test drive a Rogue or a Murano or any of the other great products that they have out there at Menor Nissan. Don't forget, they're now in partnership with Infinity of Akron and Infinity of Beechwood. Check those great vehicles out as well. Service department is absolutely fantastic. Went back to the dealership to get maintenance after that long drive down there and back. And give them a call. Set up an appointment. Of course, check out their website at MenorNissan.com. That's MenorNissan.com. I love you, Menor Nissan. Go Cavs. My old producer, radio, television, when I was with the network, Gene Winters, joins us. Gene, for many years now, has been the video statistical graphics designer, statistical expert for the Cavaliers telecast, now on FanDuel. And Gene has been on the show many times to talk NBA and our Cavaliers. Welcome back, and here it is. This whole season has been about this time and whether the Cavs are finally able to get over the hump, Gino.
Yeah, they had that taste last year. Actually, if you go back 2 years to the loss against the Knicks, then you get the win against Orlando in an exciting 7-game series, only to get beat by Boston. But as you said, this season was set up for this point to get through healthy, to get into the postseason, and get to here to make that run. Now, again, I didn't think we were going to win 60-plus games and be the best team throughout the entire year. I thought there were going to be some more challenges, some more up and downs for this team, but they took everything in stride and just dominated the NBA from week 1 to where we are now, waiting for this game to come up on Sunday.
Well, Atkinson's a shoo-in for Coach of the Year. I mean, there's no question about it, because outside of the Hunter trade, it's basically the same personnel. And by the way, what an incredible addition he was before the deadline.
No, absolutely. And to go back, Coach of the Year first, when you look at that, I mean, I think it's going to end up being a 3-man, maybe a 2-man race between Kenny Atkinson and actually JB Bickerstaff. What he was able to do this year to turn around the Detroit Pistons, to get them into, what were they, the 6th seed, a major turnaround for them. I think that's where you're going to get a little bit of a battle between those two. You look at OK City's coach Dagnow. He won last year. And if I remember correctly, I looked this up about a month ago. No NBA coaches won back-to-back Coach of the Year. So you could kind of eliminate him already. So for me, I think it's going to be that 2-man race. But with what the Cavaliers were able to do this season, with Kenny coming in, not giving the keys to everybody, but working with the strengths of what this roster could accomplish, to have them make a 16-game jump from a 48-win team last year to where they are now, sitting at 64 games. It's just an amazing feat of what he was able to accomplish, keeping that core 4 together, getting them to buy in and kind of playing to their ability while playing them lower minutes too, and keeping them fresh for this run. I kind of agree with you, but I think it might be a little bit closer with JB than a lot of people
and I
think.
didn't want to slough off JB for his accomplishment, because I was not in favor of firing him, as you know, but as it turns out, I mean, the reason I say that about Atkinson is because who would have anticipated that the Cavs would have won this many games? I mean, this was the shock of the NBA, in my opinion, this year, and certainly. But the other thing that I was so impressed with was how he utilized the bench all season long. I mean, he got everybody involved at one time or another, and not necessarily out of necessity when there was an injury, although those guys stepped up beautifully, but he purposefully did that to get everybody involved, and I think it was in the back of his mind because of the postseason.
Yeah, and you want these guys for you go back to last season, even the year before against the Knicks in the postseason. JB Bickerstaff played the starters, and you were able to see that with Detroit this year. He plays those starters, and you have a small bench of 7, maybe an 8-guy rotation. And that was a lot of the regular season when JB was here. Now, when Kenny stepped in, you dial those minutes back, and you're keeping everybody fresh. We're not going in to the postseason with Jared Allen coming off an injury or an Evan Mobley coming in nicked up or Donovan Mitchell, although his ankle should be fine, and with the rest that he's had over the last couple of weeks, as fresh as possible coming in to this series when it starts on Saturday. But going back to dialing down those minutes, you had, I think it was this year, 10 or 11 different guys lead the team in scoring for a game. You had the minutes, as you mentioned, the starter minutes this year for the Cavaliers, they were 27th out of 30 teams in starter minutes this year, where just on the flip side of that, New York, their starters and Tom Thibodeau really, as we know, run those guys into the ground. The New York Knicks, their starters average 179 minutes per game this season. Where you flip it down to the Cavaliers, down at 27, they're averaging 144 and a third minutes this season. So those guys are fresh. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, all career lows in minutes played, but you didn't really lose production in their numbers. Evan Mobley had one of the best years he's ever had, the most double-doubles he's had in a season. We know what Donovan Mitchell has been able to do since he's joined the Cavaliers 3 years ago, and Darius Garland continued to be a steady force as a distributor and as a scorer, and especially a clutch time player. The final 5 minutes of a close game, he was one of the best in the NBA this season. So you factor all that in, then you get the Ty Jeromes. You mentioned DeAndre Hunter a little bit earlier. To Ty Jerome real quick, after not really playing last year, the injury that took him out in the second game last year, to miss the entire season, I had no idea what to expect from a guy that has floated around to a couple different teams. This year, he's had the most 20-point games he's ever had in a season, has been really that staple that has solidified that second unit to get all of them to play. And when a Mitchell has had to sit or a Garland has had to sit, he has stepped right in. And even though his numbers won't warrant or compare, I should say, because it definitely won't, but it won't compare to the guys for the Sixth Man Award. If you really dive into the numbers that he has been able to produce this year, he should definitely be in that mix. And Hunter, I think, is the shoe-in to win that.
I told you he was an NBA and statistical expert. He gets down to thirds, for God's sakes. With what you just touched upon, with using so many guys, how much of a rotation, how many guys do you anticipate that he is going to utilize for the postseason, or will he try to incorporate all these guys?
No, I think he's going to keep it kind of a large. I think you're going to easily see an 8-man rotation, 9, 10 even, because you're going to Hunter and Jerome are definitely playing. So you're already at 7 right there. You're definitely going to get Dean Wade in there because they like what he could do defensively, and he could hit a shot here or there. Same thing with Isaac Okoro. He's been on a little bit of a streak lately, scoring, having double digits in 4 of the last 5 games. I believe it might have been 6 games that he has played. And so we know what he can do defensively. And depending on who the Cavaliers play, you're going to need that defense coming in. Sam Merrill is an automatic 3-point shooting machine, so he's going to have to play a little bit. Then from there, I think Craig Porter Jr. has warranted a couple minutes. I don't know if he's going to hit that rotation, especially as they advance here into the playoffs. He might see some minutes here in the first round. I think he's definitely going to be in that mix. Tristan Thompson won't see any time unless it's garbage time. Green, who they picked up from the Hornets, he might see a little bit just because he has that experience being a guy that's been in the league for over 5 years now and a guy that can shoot definitely take some 3-point shots, play a little bit of defense. I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny goes at least 9 deep here in this first round.
Well, you know, when we had LeBron and played those years in a row against Golden State, they were this deep too. They utilized that bench. Kerr really did utilize that bench. And, you know, it was interesting too after the acquisition of Hunter, how at first Atkinson experimented with him in the starting lineup, and then he was bringing him off the bench. And I think he found the key, bringing him off the bench, because what a presence he is when he does come into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been that staple since coming over here to the Cavaliers. I mean, I want to say of the 20 plus games that he's played in, he has had double digits in more than 18 of them. So, you know, he can score. The defensive rating from when the Cavaliers traded for him on February 10th, it was before that, but February 10th was the first game that Hunter played for the Cavaliers. Their defensive rating was right around 110, 111. That has gone down since he's been here. So he's been able not only to help offensively, butting back up with Ty Jerome, who was a teammate of his in college when they won that championship at Virginia, but being able to then help and lengthen out this roster, giving another guy that can play defense with some height. You know, and I think that's going to be one of the advantages if the Cavaliers match up with the Hawks, taking away one of their best, bringing him here to our roster to help solidify what Kenny Atkinson and the Cavs want to do.
Now, here's the big question. Are they going to be physical enough? Because that's been their downfall the last 2 years. First of all, against the Knicks, and last year against Boston, and even out physical in the series that they won against Orlando. That's been the key to me all season long, despite this incredible success under Atkinson.
Yeah, and I want to say yes to this question, but you know, if you just go back a couple games, I want to say it was at the end of March, it might have been early April, when we went up to Detroit, and they were physical with the Cavaliers and ended up beating the Cavaliers in that game. They just dominated from the start. They were getting all the 50-50 balls. They were, you know, boxing out and putting bodies on guys down in the post, and it kind of, you know, I don't want to say rattled the Cavaliers, but watching it didn't seem like the normal Cavaliers that we watched all season long. I think that over the last 2 seasons, the Cavaliers have known that they've had to get more physical. And that's where, after that New York series, they came back last year, took that series with Orlando. Even though it took 7 games to get there, they started to play a little bit tougher and maybe change that mindset a little bit. But they're going to have to take it to another level this year, now that they're the ones with the targets on their back, even though I know Vegas still likes Boston. But this is where the Cavaliers, you've been the best team all season long, especially in the East. This is your time to shine and not back down from anybody.
Well, I'm glad we don't have to play Orlando. We know that already because they won last night against Atlanta, so they're going to be playing their opening series and probably their last against the Boston Celtics. So who will it be, Atlanta, Chicago, or Miami, Gene?
That's the part, and I'm really interested to see this game here tonight between Chicago and the Miami Heat. Now, the Cavaliers have had success against both of those teams, the 9-10 Boston and Chicago this season. The Cavaliers, of course, swept Chicago throughout the season, beating them 4 times. They were one of 17 sweeps that the Cavaliers had this season, and the 17 sweeps against an opponent is tied for the most ever in a single season for the Cavaliers. So that was one of the 17. And Miami, the Cavaliers lost, I want to say, in that first game. I want to say it was right around Thanksgiving. They lost in that game. And then they came back and won the other 2. So they won 2-1 against Miami, 4-0 against Chicago. But Donovan Mitchell has dominated Chicago since he has joined the Cavaliers. Of course, having the 71-point game a couple of years ago, always is scoring in the 30s against them. So I think that will play a little bit against the Chicago psyche, knowing that he has been just a Bulls dominator in his time here. I would personally would rather see Chicago than Miami. You always have that, and I know the Cavaliers overcame it a couple years ago, finally winning down in Miami after losing 20, 21, 22 straight games down there. They've won the last 2 years when making trips down there, but that always scares me. The Miami flu, the South Beach lifestyle, all of that stuff that factors in, that worries me a little bit. So I would rather see Chicago win tonight, just eliminate Miami, and then take our chances with either Atlanta or Chicago.
Who wins the New York-Detroit series?
Man, that's going to be one to watch. That I think that might be the one that I'm most interested in watching outside of the Cavaliers. As we talked about, we know both teams are going to be starter heavy. They're going to play their guys. They're going to have small rotations, and it's going to be a physical series from the start. Cade Cunningham and Jalen Brunson going against each other. You have the matchups down low, and both teams just going to beat up on each other. I think in the end, New York will advance to play Boston on that side. But it wouldn't surprise me if JB finds a way to use his past experience 2 years ago here with the Cavaliers against New York to take that into his Detroit team and explain how physical they have to be against the Knicks.
How about Indiana and Milwaukee?
See, I go back and forth on this one too, because the Cavaliers have had success against Milwaukee this year. We know that Dame Lillard is not playing here, at least in this first round. We'll see if they advance, if he comes back for the second round matchup. But the Pacers are just a team, and I think we talked about this before, they're just a team that scores. And no matter who it is, if it's Halliburton or if they go down low to Turner or Siakam, they just find ways to score, and they try to beat you in a 120, a 130 type game where you play minimal defense and you just go up and down the court. So those kind of teams worry me a little bit because they know they can score. And the Cavaliers, if they get into a little rut and get behind and have to battle back, that worries me a little bit. But I would rather take my chances with Milwaukee because you know what you're going to get out of Giannis. You know what you're going to get with Brook Lopez and Jared Allen battling down low. And then the wild card would be if Lillard is back or not. But Donovan Mitchell in his time in the West with Utah has had success in the postseason against Lillard and the Blazers when he was there.
If we're fortunate enough to win the East, I wouldn't be surprised if we have home court in the NBA championship because I don't think Oklahoma City's a given in the West, especially with the Lakers, even Golden State, even though they got to play in. Even Golden State is capable of a real deep run.
Yeah, and I know everyone, and obviously the Golden State's the flavor right now because they played last night and it was a great game to come back and win or hold on, I should say, against Memphis as they were trying to make that run late. If they could have inbounded the ball, maybe it's a different story. But Houston has been a solid team. They're one of two teams this year that actually beat the Cavaliers and swept them. One being Houston, the other one being Sacramento, the only two teams to sweep the Cavaliers this year. So the Rockets, and I think we talked about this too, maybe the last time or the time before, Rockets are one of the teams that I'm interested in because we know they're going to play physical. Dylan Brooks is a guy that is kind of like an Anderson Varejao, a Draymond Green, a Noah that used to play for the Bulls, a guy that, will get under your skin, but can perform and score and just be that aggravator on the defensive side. So I'm interested to see if the Rockets could come out because I still like the Rockets. If Van Fleet has playoff experience, he won a championship a couple years ago with the Raptors. Thompson, the brother, and I always get them mixed up because the other one plays in Detroit, but Thompson, Amen or Azur will have a fantastic series for the Rockets. So I think the Rockets will, I don't want to say easily advance, but I think they end up beating the Warriors and advancing into that second round of the West.
Gene Winters, my old producer for decades now, it seems, and statistical expert and graphic designer for the Cavaliers telecasts on FanDuel. Thanks, partner. Hopefully we can squeeze you in. I think the Cavs are scheduled to play a week from today, so you're going to be with an early call, but maybe 2 weeks from today we'll have you back, see how things, and hopefully we're alive and advancing and flourishing. Yeah, anytime. This is one of the best times of the year with the baseball overlap and the playoffs starting. And yeah, anytime you need me, give me a ring. Thanks, Gino. Absolutely. Jimmy Hanlon next. We shift gears, talk about the Masters and McIlroy winning his Grand Slam. That's next on Bonus Time with Drennan here on Big Play.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Pure AV, luxury home automation. Experience your dream smart home.
Thanks to my pal Gene Winters as we preview the Cavs and the upcoming playoffs. Now we shift our attention to the first major of the 4 of the season completed last weekend at Augusta National, the Masters. My old pal Jimmy Hanlon, the PGA golf professional, whose shows are airing now on Big Play. Jimmy joins us to review the Masters. Congratulations on joining our team at Big Play.
Well, listen, first of all, we can't get away from each other, man. And I mean, for 25 years now, we
Radio
follow each
and
other.
TV,
Radio,
yeah.
television,
Network.
Now
Yeah.
the Big Play world. I mean, wherever you go, I go, it seems like, right?
Oh, well, yeah, and all kinds of, you got a new show that's actually going to originate here on
Yeah.
Big Play.
Yeah, we got a couple of them. We got a bunch of stuff going on, Bruce, you're going to love. And it's, you know me. Every time I become a part of a network, I try to turn it into the Jimmy Hanlon Golf Channel, right? And that's no matter where I am. And that's, here at Big Play, I'm sure you'll be a part of it, down the road. We just want to provide the best golf content we can provide and have fun and, come on and talk golf with you. So, yeah, I'm excited to be a part of the team, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, good. Welcome. We wanted Jimmy on to, again, review the Masters. McIlroy tried to give it away.
Oh, man. I actually thought about you multiple times while I was watching it because you love struggle on the game of golf when it's on television. And we saw the struggle. The thing that's different for you is, and Bruce, if you guys don't know, is 25 years that I know him, his eyes get brighter during the week of the U.S. Open. He's just a happy person because he just loves watching those players struggle. We didn't see the golf course make him struggle, Bruce. We saw in between the ears is where the struggle came there this week, and it was fun to watch, but it was a little nuts.
It's funny you say that because after watching the 4 rounds and then watching the playoff, the one-hole playoff, it made me draw a conclusion about Justin Rose, and I want to bounce this off of you. As we know, he was leading after the first 2 rounds. He shot lights out. The 3rd round, when he was in the last group with who was he with? DeChambeau.
Yeah.
And he had a horrible run. The cameras were on every single shot he made. Then on Sunday, because he fell so far out of the lead, on Sunday, the cameras were hardly on him, and he shot lights out again. In getting himself into position because of the self-inflicted wounds by McIlroy going down the stretch, they have forced a playoff. Now the cameras are on him again, and nothing wrong with getting a par at any hole on the PGA Tour, especially in a major, but you see my point.
Yeah.
Is there some validity to that with him?
I wouldn't say the cameras are doing it because the cameras are always there. He doesn't know whether they're on or off, as you know, right? But I think the pressure, right? The pressure of, hey,
but he knows
I'm in
when
it.
all eyes are upon
I'm in
him.
it, right? I'm back in it. I'm in the lead instead of being, back here. So I think that's everybody to a point, except for maybe a few players through our careers that we watched. Jack, Tiger being 2, that doesn't seem to matter. Lead,
Watson,
not lead.
play
Watson,
bottom,
yeah, a lot. There's 20 guys, maybe less, 10 guys that you don't see it bother. But again, I think you see that with Rory a little bit too, right? You see Rory
definitely
gets into the lead and he walks faster and things change. And I think that's the difference between a good player and a great player, right? I mean, the guys that were great, and I think mine and your short list of great would be a little smaller than most. I think a lot of people would have maybe 20 people on that list. To me, to say great, I would maybe have 5, and you just named, 3 of them. We just talked about 3 of them there. So I think they struggle mentally. It's a lot of pressure, Bruce. It's a lot of money, but they all have money, right? It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
The whole world is watching you. The ratings were off the charts. 20 million people were watching almost.
One of the highest ratings? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was the best rating they've seen in, I think, in a decade, 7 years. I think the last one.
I think a lot. Jimmy, I think a lot of that has to do with DeChambeau. I contend that he is now the most popular golfer in America.
Yeah, I without a doubt. I mean, Rory's right there. People like Rory. I always root for American golfers. I've been saying that all week this week. The flag matters most to me, and then after that, I'll root for maybe the Irish guys because I got a little Irish in me, But at the end of the day, I typically always root for America. I think you're right. I think he's the most popular golfer. We're getting kids that like golf, but would never turn on a television to watch a golf tournament when you're 15 and 16, unless you're a serious golfer. Watching now because they like him, right? Yeah. He's fun to watch. He does
he's doing
stuff.
this with the fan. He doesn't he doesn't miss a hand.
Yeah.
Wait, and I think that hurts Scheffler's an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
But he's so cold. It seems like he's so cold. He's so everybody's different, and he might be the greatest guy in the world. I don't know. But just the persona of it, I mean, what a night and day between DeChambeau and Scheffler.
Yeah, he gets it, right? And DeChambeau didn't get it early in his career, right? But
when he was wearing that stupid European hat.
Yeah. Well, I think he was a little like, I think he was a little, what would you call it? Just introverted, right? I think he had to teach himself to get out there. Like, he's kind of a nerd, right? He likes all those numbers and all that goofy stuff, and that typically comes with a guy that doesn't have a great personality, right? Not everybody can be Bruce Drennan, just be out there, I mean. So I think he's learned to open up a little bit and get better out there. I think it's good for him.
Does he fall into the trap of trying to overpower courses too much? Was that his downfall Saturday?
I think his downfall was actually not
Sunday, I should say.
I think his downfall was not sticking to his game, right? I think he laid up on the third hole or something like that, which is just insane for him. He never lays up,
I know.
right?
You know what? And he was hooking that.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of a utility that was. He kept hooking
it, right? Yeah, for sure. So, but I think you got to go with what got you there. And what has got him there is he does overpower golf courses. Augusta in his mind's a par 68 because he can knock it on all 4 par 5s for sure.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I think he needs to stick to his game. I think he got a little bit out of his comfort zone Saturday. Listen, he's played great golf in the last, year, less than a year, right? And so I think you got to give him to a point where it was his first bad round of the tournament. He played bad, got out of sorts.
It's one of those things we all have off days.
Yeah.
McIlroy gets a double bogey on number 1 on Sunday and comes back and still wins like he did. But at the end, going down the stretch, I couldn't believe how he almost gave it away.
I mean, he hit it in the water on 13. That reminded me of Jordan Spieth on the par 3 when he hits it in the water years ago.
Right.
And then chunks it in again, And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here? And then, he does that, and then he hits that incredible shot on 15 up over the trees. But to me, Bruce, the worst shot that Rory McIlroy hit of the whole golf tournament, 18th hole, he's 124 yards. He has a sand wedge in his hand with nothing in his way. I mean, we're talking right down the alley, right? Just hit a chip. For him, he could chip it on almost, right? And he hits it in the bunker and it makes bogey. Like, to me, that was worse than the one that went in the water, right? To me, I was like, what just happened right
now? And, you talk about pressure. I mean, he needed that Grand Slam, winning all 4 of them, and now he comes, the 6 Sarazen, Hogan, Nicholas Woods, and Gary Player. Now he becomes the 6th. And it had been many, many years since he won a major. This was his 5th major.
We were close to 11 years right there since he had won a major.
So that pressure had, this is the second time Justin Rose has lost in a playoff in the Masters. The last time was like 17 or 18 when he lost to Sergio.
Yeah.
And Sergio deserved not to make the cut with that stupid outfit he had.
He looked like Ronald McDonald the first day. So I do think that, Justin Rose is just a solid player, right? He's not going to woo us. He's not going to hit it far. He's not going to hit those shots Rory hit up over trees and stuff. He's just a good tempo, solid, keeps his head going. And he's a good putter, Bruce. When you're a good putter, you're always going to give yourself a chance. One guy I'll throw at you real quick that shocked me. CBS didn't show Patrick Reed all day.
I was just mental telepathy.
All day.
I was just going to comment about Patrick Reed with Jimmy. He won his only major. Did he win a British too?
No, he just won the Masters.
Just won the Masters, right.
Yep.
And here he comes out of nowhere and finishes so high. Amazing. How good do you think this Oberg can be?
Oh, man. He's really good. I mean, he's got all the tools. He's super tall. He hits it far. He's got all the shots. He's a good putter. I wouldn't call him a great putter yet. And he's 22, right? He's 22 years old. Now, do I think he's going to be Tiger? No. Do I think he could be Rory? Absolutely, right? I think he has all the skills to be win multiple major championships. I mean, look at him. First 2 Masters, he was leading at one point, both of them at one point. He's only played in 2 right now. Most of the time for us, you and I, we look at guys, we're figuring out who wants to win the Masters. You never pick somebody that's never played the golf course.
Right.
Golf course. It's just that type of golf course that you can't do. But I think you look at him the rest of this year, you got to look at him at Oakmont. You got to look at him, down the road at some of these major championships. And I think he has an opportunity now. I don't think we're waiting for him to turn 30.
Do you think the live guys are at a disadvantage because they only play 3 rounds in their tournaments and they already have the guaranteed money?
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, look at Dustin Johnson.
Yeah,
Doesn't
he
even
just
make
fell off the
cut.
world, right? So
Koepka's another one.
I don't think it's the 3 rounds. I actually think it's more of just, it's not quite of the juices don't get as flowing as much as they do on a PGA Tour, right? There's not as many people watching, as you were saying. The world's not watching you. So I don't think it's the 3 rounds. It's just they just don't get as much practice in that world where, juices are flowing, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, more than Dustin Johnson has surprised me is Jon Rahm. When Jon Rahm went to live, he was the number 1 player in the world. He was the best player in the world. There was no question. Everybody talked about him. And then he hasn't done anything except for played well in a Ryder Cup since then, right? Like, I just think it's coming. I keep thinking it's all right. He'll just work his way out. He got that money. He probably took a little time off, but he just isn't finding it. And I always thought, he has that surgery, that Seve Ballesteros, like just fire in him, right?
Yes.
And it just shocks me that Jon Rahm's game is where it's at right now.
I was cheering for Jason Day too, but he faltered. He made a chip shot that was absolutely ridiculous on that one hole where he was short of the green and self-inflicted wounds. Bubba Watson plays Augusta National very well. He's won 2 Masters there. I don't think any of us that follow golf will ever forget the shot he made where he turned his club upside down. But he had a good tournament. He came back.
He just no rough. Bubba can hit a little crooked there, right? And he really can shape shots and into those greens. He has the ability as good as anybody to really make that ball come in, and he understands the golf course.
Morikawa was solid, never really seriously challenged. Will Spieth ever regain the tremendous greatness he had when he first came on the scene and won 3 majors like that?
So he doesn't drive the golf ball very good, Bruce. Like if you watched him on the range on Sunday, they were showing him with the TrackMan and a ball. He's finishing one-handed. The ball's going. This is 10 minutes before he's getting ready to tee off. It's going over here. It's going over there. He has to learn to get the ball in play. He puts so much pressure on that amazing short game that he has, and his amazing ability to create shots. But like, just hit it in the fairway, and everything's a lot easier, right? And he has to find that, whether it is, finding the instructor that's going to make that happen or just working it out himself. But he'll never be what he was until he learns to get the ball in the fairway a little more.
How about Victor Hovland, who has been close several times now in the last 3 years?
He just doesn't putt it good enough, Bruce. He's a great ball striker. He's become a better chipper. He was a really bad chipper for a while of the ball. He's become a better chipper. He just doesn't, you have to hole putts to win major championships, and everything else is there. So you have everything there. He just doesn't putt it very well.
Is Schauffele still hurt?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I thought he would play a little better. He was very similar to Morikawa, where they were never really in it.
Right.
But they never went away either. Like you always just looked at him in that, 10th, 15th spot. But he's got tremendous tempo.
Yeah,
He's got all the
and
time.
what happened to Shane Lowry? He was in serious contention and totally blew up. Actually finished +4.
Yeah, that I think for Shane Lowry, he reminds me a little bit of those guys. I'm trying to think of some of the players that see like a Brooks Koepka, right? He's at a point in his career whether he wants to win, right? And so if things start to go bad and he's not going to win, I think that focus is just gone, right? Because did you see the interview with him where they walked up to him after the golf course? I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday, and they wanted to talk to him about his round, and he had just played really bad. I think it was Sunday, and the first question was about Rory, right? And what he said, he says, listen, he goes, soccer, basketball, football, those guys get to go in the locker room. They get to like decompress and then come back out and talk to you guys. You guys jump right in my face right now. As soon as I get off the golf course, he's like, I don't want to talk about Rory. I just blew my chance to win a major championship. Like he's like, I want to, he's right now. I don't want to talk to anybody, and so that's the emotion there.
Right. And this Connors out of Canada had a very good tournament. He was right there.
He can strike it, man. I'll tell you, he gets to rolling it better. He's a Herbie Page, Kent Stater, along with Taylor Pendrith was there. Hopefully, again, you and I were talking about Herbie. Hopefully, he's doing well. He's having some health challenges. They talked about it on the Masters there, but. Just crazy to see all the great players from Kent State right here in Ravenna, Ohio. They're on the tour. But Corey Connors is good.
Yeah.
Very good.
the U.S. Open's at Oakmont, right?
US
Where's
Open's
the
at Oakmont.
PGA?
I was just thinking that when you just said it, and I can't believe it. I can't get it in my mind right now.
We'll look that
yeah,
up.
Ryan
We'll
will look it
look
up for
that
us.
up.
I mean, literally, it's coming around the corner. And
and I'm so
drawing a
glad.
blank.
We've talked
Yeah.
about that before. It used to be in August after the British
Yeah.
Open, but now they've moved it because it was such a lapse between the Masters and the U.S. Open. So now it's coming up in May, which is good for us golf fanatics.
Where are we at?
Quail
Hollow, Charlotte.
Oh, Quail
Charlotte.
Hollow.
Not in
Oh, yeah.
Concord. Not in
Yeah,
Concord.
yeah.
In Charlotte, that's right. Great golf course, Bruce. So they hold the Wells Fargo there every year, but then they move it when they do a major championship. I would tell you, it's probably one of the top 2 or 3 favored tour stops yearly for the PGA Tour guys.
Oh, really?
Now they do
Oh.
set it up different for this PGA. It's difficult. There's
Oh,
more
yeah.
rough, but
Not as tough as the U.S.,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they make the conditions
they
a lot
love
tougher.
this golf course. I forgot
Absolutely.
it was in Charlotte. It's
And
a
I
great
thought
tournament.
Augusta National held its own
Oh.
as far as a major. I was a little worried the first day when Rose fired that 7 under.
Yeah.
Because I don't like 20 under
No, you hate
in a major. But the course made its presence known.
Isn't it crazy when we see that, Bruce, in majors? Like, these guys are coming out and they get it close to 10 under, and then we watch on Sunday and it's still right.
Yeah, I know. Right here,
Yeah.
as Jimmy said
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
Jimmy, welcome to the Big Play team.
Thanks.
Great to have you on our team, and certainly here on Bonus Time with Drennan. Best of luck, and check out all of Jimmy's shows coming up here on Big Play. When we come back, we'll shift our attention to the Guardians and baseball next. Bonus Time with Drennan. Big Play.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, the lowest pricing, and same hometown level of service.
Great to have my old pal Jimmy Hanlon, part of our team here at Big Play. Well, how about Logan Allen? Finally having quite an outing for the Guardians. 6-3 win over Baltimore. 5 2/3, no runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Sewald, Cantillo, Smith worked the end of the 6th inning through the 8th, rendering 3 runs on 5 hits, no walks, 5 Ks. And then Emmanuel Clase, I'm sure that eased some of your concerns about him of late. 2nd save of the year, closing out in the 9th after taking a 1-0 lead in the 3rd. And Gael Martinez, how about, this Martinez, tripled the lead off the 5th, then scored on a sac fly, 1 of 3 that the Guardians got in this game. And then Stephen Kwan wrapped one around the foul pole for a home run, 2-run shot, scoring Rocchio. We led 4-0. Kwan went 2 for 4 in the contest to raise his season average to 333, and Martinez was 3 for 4 with 2 runs scored. And the former utility infielder is now hitting at an incredible 571 clip. Gabriel Arias is at 286, and the Guards are playing really good defense, supporting a pitching staff that's starting more and more to resemble the pitching staff of a year ago. The Guards are now 9-7, right behind Detroit, who has a 10-7 record. We've won 7 of our last 10 games, and Jose's hitting 250, but he's got 4 homers, 8 RBIs, MVP candidate. Travis Bazzana at AA Akron is hitting 324 with 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, 7 doubles, 17 walks, 5 stolen bases. Let's recruit more out of Australia, huh? Chase DeLauder isn't far from being healthy. He could be seeing action up here with the mother club. We've got no room for him the way they're going. CJ Kifus also, first baseman, outfielder, another top prospect for the Guardians. Things are looking good. We're in the midst of a road trip. Go Guards. Back in a minute on Bonus Time with Drennan. Big Play.
The Big Play Sports Network is brought to you by Infinity, luxury experiences for those who dare to be different.
Once again, so happy here, all of us are at Big Play, to be affiliated with College Companies. They provided us that great stage and venue at Thirsty Parrot for the Guardians home opener, and we're so glad to be the media outlet once again for the College Companies Championship with the best seniors on the planet competing at Firestone South, June 18th through the 22nd. Honored at the Big Play Sports Network to be, and we invite you to join us at the College Infinity VIP zone. We'll be doing shows there during that time. On June 20th, entertainment will be provided by the Folds of Honor with a military appreciation special presentation, concert, and performance. Visit collegechampionship.com for tickets. We really look forward to seeing you. That's June 18th to 22nd. collegechampionship.com. Get your tickets now. Ask Bruce segment. Fire away, Ryan.
All right, Bruce, we got a couple basketball and baseball questions for you. Hey, Bruce, assuming this scenario comes to fruition, does the play of the second unit in the last 3 regular season games, the Cavaliers, of course, does it give you more hope that the Cavs can get past the seasoned Celtics team in the Eastern Conference
Well, as I
Finals?
mentioned when we had Gene Winters on earlier in the show, I think this is the deepest team that the Cavs have had in many, 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 many years, even during the LeBron years. And it kind of reminds me of the way Golden State was against that LeBron team the Cavs had then. They were 10 deep, and this team's 10 deep. And that's why I asked Gene, if you were with us earlier in that segment, how deep do you think in the rotation that Atkinson will go? And Gene thinks he's going to utilize all these guys just like he did during the regular season.
Alrighty, hey Bruce, of the long guys in the Cleveland Guardians bullpen, who do you think will get the first crack at the starting rotation this season?
Well, again, I'm not sure about that. Cantillo has started in the past, but he seems to be finding the groove now. So I don't know. That's a tough one. Obviously, the 4 guys that have led into Emmanuel Clase aren't going to be the ones, but take your choice of the others. But I like the way the pitching staff is forming now. They're regaining their form from last year.
Alrighty, last one for you. Hey, Bruce, who do you think will be the odd man out on the Guardians roster if Angie Martinez continues to produce the way he's been producing?
What do you do with Lane Thomas when he comes back? For God's sakes, the way this kid is playing. And defense, too. I don't want him to hurt himself, for God's sakes. Diving all over the place and making these unbelievable stops. That's all the time we have for this week's version. Bonus time with Drennan here on the Big Play Sports Network. I'm Bruce Drennan. On behalf of Ryan Smith, hope you enjoyed the show. Don't miss next week's program. Obviously, we'll be concentrating a lot on the NFL draft, which begins a week from tomorrow. So join us then. And until then, as always, and most importantly, you remember, I love you, Ohio. And I love you, Cleveland.